What's good everyone? So in today's video we'll be painting the Orc Queen bust from Yadaro Games, one of their Kickstarters, a great model. So let's get in and start painting. Hey, welcome guys. So this is the Orc Queen bust that I'm be working on. So I started off just using a black undercoat, and then I used a bit of grey undercoat just to pick up all the raised areas so I know where the highlights are going to be. And then I get all my green tone paints out, and I'm just working from dark to light now, the dark color to the lighter greens, and when I get to the very extreme highlights, that's when I will start adding white to my last green, which is the brightest green in the paint selection. And I'll keep on adding a bit of white until I get extreme highlight, and I will always go a bit lighter than normal because we will be washing this after, and you can see how when you wash it, it just brings everything back together and just desaturates the color, and it just makes it a bit more darker. So you want to go a bit more lighter than you normally would if that's the kind of desired effect you want. So we'll just base coat and just build up the layers. After that, we built up the layers. We'll give it a gloss varnish and we'll let it set for about an hour. And then the gloss varnish is a good trick because what it does is when you add the wash, normally when you add a wash, sometimes it can just stay in a certain area and create a puddle. But with the gloss, it creates a mirror glass kind of surface. So when you apply a wash, it will just run off all of the high areas and go into all the crevices automatically, and it won't leave any puddles behind. So you just control where you want the washes to go, and it's a great technique. It works all the time, so try it out, see what you think as well, because it really works for me really well. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the existing colors that I used in the previous clip of mid-tones, highlights and extreme highlights, and I'm coming in with a paintbrush and I'm just going over the highlight areas, just painting more of the brighter green around the raised areas just to make it pop out more, because the aim here is to get contrast. So I'm just going around the whole model and I'm just trying to pick out more highlights by just painting, watered down the paints and blending in slowly. So I'm just taking my time going over the whole model and just with the paint watered down, just being really patient and just going over with light strokes, just slowly blending out into the muscles. Just slowly going over, just touching on the raised areas of the muscles, because you want the highlight to gradually be at the highest point there. So just slowly back and forth, watered down green mixed with a bit of white as well. Okay, now moving on to the hair, I'm just using the Vallejo turquoise color, and I've just painting this on, just block painting it at the moment, and then we'll go into highlighting it with the airbrush by mixing a bit of white with this existing blue and building up the gradients as we go on. So just take your time, you know, neatly. Just make sure you paint or block it out very neatly. And I'm just using thin paint here, so I'm going to give it a few coats. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I'm just getting the existing blue that I used for the base coat for the hair, and I'm mixing in white with it with the airbrush, and I'm just diluting it with airflow improver, and then just slowly going over the high areas of the hair and just putting a bit of white highlight on there, and then I'll just build up with the airbrush and the color like that, slowly building up. Just getting a bit more extreme now with the highlights, so I just added a bit more white to the existing color I used previously, and I'm just going over the tips of the hair now to give it a bit more white. Now I'm going to make it a bit more brighter than normal because we're going to wash this down, and it's going to reduce and saturate the color. So you always want to go a bit brighter than you really want to go. That's the trick with this, with the washes after. Okay, so the next stage we're doing here is the Army Painter washes. I think they're the best washes in the business. I really recommend these. And all we're doing now is mixing a bit of blue and a bit of dark tone and mixing it together, and just carefully just putting it over the hair and just letting the wash do the work. Next I move on to the armor, and I'm just giving it a base of black, and then we'll start highlighting with grey. And starting with the shoulder pad with the grey, I use 3 colors. So I'm using a grey, white and black, and I'm mixing the grey and black and white and grey, so I'm getting them in between mix as well. And I'm literally randomly, I'm trying this non-metallic method out. I haven't done enough practice on it, but I thought, why not start it now? So I'm giving it, this is probably my 3rd attempt. So what I'm doing now, I'm just putting random, literally with grey, random patterns around the edge areas and where I think the highlights are gonna hit. And then I'm just randomly just letting my brush go freely from my hand, and I think this is quite nice to just freely just go and see where it ends up. So I looked at some reference on Google as well for metal effects, and it's quite random as long as you're getting the highlights in the right areas. So what I'll do, you'll see now how I'm building lighter and lighter up to the top tip of where the light is hitting, and I'll just continue doing that. So yeah, don't be afraid. If you make mistakes, you make mistakes, you know. I mean, I made a few. I just covered it up with black, and then I went back over again. But if you don't try, you won't know. So just keep, don't worry about what the result is, because you only get better each time you do it. So I'm just practicing at the moment with this non-metallic stuff. So, and hopefully I'll get a bit more confident later on, and I'll start doing some more wet blending with it. There's a little bit of wet blending in this, which I'm trying. I'm just taking this one, and just, it's kind of nice having that freedom to just randomly let the brush just go and see what happens as well. So just have fun with it. That's what I did, and I think it turned out okay. It wasn't too bad. Start painting the leather area, which I use Rhinox Oxide as the base, and then I use the leather paint by Vallejo, which I have at the start of the video. You'll see the paint list there, and then I just mixed white with that, and to get the highlights, and I just kept building highlights, just slowly building it in layers. coming back to the armor, the same thing I used with the shoulder part of the armor. Just gave it a base coat of black, then blended grey on the high areas, and then mixed the grey with white to get to the extreme highlights. And then right at the tip, you just use white. So I'm just going over, just randomly creating patterns around the armor to give it this random steel feel. So I'm just letting my brush go loose and having a bit of fun. So coming to our axe, the main weapon that's behind her, I did exactly the same thing with all the other metal parts, the same procedure, same technique. Just use the three colours really and mixed black with grey, grey with white to get the mid areas, and just work the high areas and work down the middle of the axe with the razor sharp areas. I made it dark in the middle and light on the edges to just show the light is reflecting. And on the flat part of the axe, I just randomly dabbled and put marks around everywhere and highlighted with the edge of my brush. I was highlighting the edges, just going back and forth really, just randomly in the middle as well, at the bottom of the weapon staff as well, and just going over and just randomly putting patterns down, having an idea of where the light is hitting, and just having fun with it. I just let loose here and just see what happens, you know, just see where my brush takes me, and just wash at the end. I gave it a slight black wash all over, very light glaze, but I was just having a bit of fun really, just going over all, the whole razor blades and just of the sword, and just tapping, using little tapping techniques for the brush, and we're letting it dry, then going over it again, letting it dry, and then keep on repeating the process until I felt like it's okay. I was happy with it. Painted the inside of the ears and the lips with a bleached bone and mixed a bit of pink with it, and just added a wash, dark tone wash after all over it. Just adding little bits, working on the details. Just using my fine brush here to work on the scar cut area using blood red. So I'm just carefully filling down the paint and just have a bit of paint on the tip of my brush, and I'm just going in, just filling in with a bit of a wash. Using blood red for the eyes as well with the fine brush, just filling down and carefully using a few layers to build up the colour, and then highlighting it with orange at the end. And that's a wrap, guys. Thank you. This was a good project. I hope you enjoyed and liked it. If you did, please subscribe, like, share, and comment below as well. Let me know what other paintings you want me to do, what models you'd like me to paint, and you know, all your support will help me. You know, if you share the videos and like, it will help this small channel grow. Every little like, share will help with the channel. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. So happy painting.